Okay, we're finished with our sentence level anomalies. Now we're ready to move on to word level anomalies. So weird things that happen on a word level.
Okay.
So the first word level anomaly is labelless words. What is a label? Remember?
Like doer label, receiver label?
Yeah, the doer label and the receiver label.
Well, they tell us what role a word is playing in an action sentence.
And what were the labels? What were the doer labels?
Un, ani, una, atun.
Receiver labels?
An, ani, ina, atin.
Good. So a labelless word is what it sounds like. It's a word that cannot accept one of those labels. So it's formed in a way that it can't take the labels. And why is it important to study labelless words? So what do labels tell us?
They tell us the role a word is playing in the sentence.
Right. They tell us the role a word is playing in the sentence. So if it has a doer label, we know it's a doer. If it has a receiver label, we know it's a receiver.
And so if it doesn't have a label, then how do we know what role it's playing?
Exactly. That's why we're studying it, right? So we want to be able to recognize labelless words and then figure out, if we don't have the label to rely on, how are we going to figure out what it's doing in the sentence? And it's actually easier than you think.
Okay.
We'll go over that.
That's what you always say. But I guess it turns out to be true.
Okay. So there are 4 categories of words that don't accept labels, and we already know a few of them. So first category is pronouns, right? Give me a few examples of a pronoun.
Hum.
Hua.
I guess those are independent. Ha.
Yeah, hum, hua, those would be independent. Ha, or hu, or
yeah,
the e, right? So have you ever seen hum un or hum en or hum in?
No. Like when a pronoun is receiver, it's attached to an action. That's how we know it's receiver. It doesn't have a receiver label or
Exactly. Anything. And when it's a doer, it's embedded, right? So pronouns always look the same, right? Hum is always hum. It never changes. It never takes a label. So we already kind of knew that, right? So that's category 1 of words that don't take labels. Okay, number 2 is pointers. Give me some examples of a pointer.
Hada.
Hadihi. Dhalika, ulaika, all those. Have you ever seen hada un or hada an?
No, they're always the same.
They're always the same, right? Pointers never change, right? Pointers never change, and that's because they never accept labels.
Okay.
So we kind of already know that as well. Category number 3 is words that end in alif. Alif maqsoor or alif. This kind of alif or this kind of alif.
Okay.
Right, so for example, if we see al-huda, right, that won't take a label.
Okay.
If we see a word like Zakariya, name, right, ends in an alif, it won't take a label, right? So you can't say huda un or huda en, and that's just because it doesn't sound good, right? It doesn't sound smooth or good to the Arab. So something that ends in an alif can't take a label.
Okay.
Makes sense? And then our last category is words that have the attached pronoun ya. Right, so this one is a little bit different. So for example, if we have a word like qawm, qawmun.
Yeah, it can be qawmun, qawman. Like,
right, it takes a label. Yeah. Right, it takes a label normally. But if we wanted to attach the attached pronoun ya to it, we would say qawmi. Qawmi. Right, we're not saying qawmuni. Because it just sounds weird.
Okay.
Right, so when you add the attached pronoun ya to a word, even if the word can normally take a label, the ya kind of knocks off that label. Right, because it just doesn't sound smooth.
So the idea is that qawmi can either be doer or it can be receiver, but we can't see it. It's hiding the label. Right.
So if you say I love my people, for example, qawmi means my people, right? You wouldn't see that receiver label on there.
Okay.
Even though I love my people is the receiver. Or if you say my people came, right, you wouldn't see my people is the doer, but you wouldn't see the doer label. Make sense?
Okay. So it eats up. It creates the ya creates a labelless word.
Yeah, the attached pronoun ya creates a labelless word.
Yeah.
Right, so it'll kind of knock off that label.
A word might not be labelless on its own, but the ya will make it labelless.
Yep. Okay. So can you remember our 4 categories off the top of your head?
Pronouns, pointers, ends in alif.
Both kinds of alif, right?
Right. And then something that has attached pronoun, yeah.
So we're going to look at some words, and you're going to tell me whether they can take a label or not. So number 1, bushra.
Ends in alif, so no, it cannot take a label.
No, it cannot take a label. Hum.
Hum is a pronoun, so that was our first category. No, it cannot take a label.
Good. منتقم.
Not a pronoun, not a pointer, doesn't end in alif, doesn't end in ya, so yes, it can take a label.
Good. نعمتي.
So this is the word ni'ma, like blessing, right? Plus the attached pronoun, ya. So that's our fourth category. So no, it cannot take a label.
Right, because it has the ya, which knocks off the label. قرون.
Is that una?
It's not the una ending. This is the original word, قرون.
Okay. Let's see. Well, it's not a pronoun, not a pointer, no alif, no ya. So yes, it can take a label.
Good. رحمة.
Not a pointer, not a pronoun, no alif, no ya. Yes, it can take a label.
Good process. عيسى.
Alif ending. So no, it cannot take a label.
Good. مريم.
Pronoun, not a pointer, pronoun, not a pointer, no alif, no ya. So yes, it can take a label.
Good. هذا.
هذا is a pointer. So no, it cannot take a label.
No label. الدنيا.
Pronoun, pointer, ends in alif.
Right.
So no, it cannot take a label.
It can't take a label. Good. So are we clear on labelless words?
Yes.
We know our categories?
Yes.
Okay, now that we can recognize a labelless word, let's do some in-context practice. So how are we going to figure out, when we see a word like this, what it's doing in the sentence? Okay. It's actually pretty logical, and you'll find it easier than you think. So rule number 1, if you found one, you found the other. What does that mean? So action sentences have action, a doer, and sometimes a receiver, right? So it's not very often that both words, both the action, both the doer and the receiver will be labelless, right?
Okay.
At least one of them will have a label, usually.
All right.
Right, so if you found one, that means you found the other.
Meaning if you found a doer, if you found a word that has a doer label, chances are the labelless word will be receiver. And if you found something that has a receiver label, chances are the labelless word will be a doer.
Exactly. Right, exactly. So let's look at some examples. We have كلم الله موسى, right? Action sentence. كلم is our action. And then what do you know about Allahu?
It's doer label.
Has a doer label, so we found our
doer.
And then Musa, what kind of word is that?
That's labelless because it ends in alif.
It's labelless because it ends in alif, but we found our action, we found our doer, so what role is left for the word Musa?
Just receiver.
Receiver, right? Okay. So Musa is a receiver. Pretty logical, right?
Yeah.
Right, so here's another example. وَاخْتَارَ مُوسَى قَوْمَهُ. So action sentence again. اختار is our action. Musa, labelless, so we'll leave it for now. What can you tell me about قَوْمَهُ?
It's possessive, and قَوْمَ has a receiver label.
Right, so قَوْمَهُ makes our receiver. Right, so what role does that leave for Musa?
Doer.
Right,
okay.
So you see how it works? If you found one, then you found the other.
Yeah, so in the first one, we found the doer, so Musa was receiver. Second one, we found a receiver, so Musa was doer.
Exactly. Okay, rule number 2. If the doer is embedded, the labelless word is the receiver. This is kind of an offshoot of the previous rule, right? If you have an embedded doer, it means you've already found your doer, right? So that means that if there's a labelless word in that sentence, it's going to be the receiver, right? Because you've already found your doer. Make sense? Let's look at an example.
Okay,
so we have وعدنا. What can you tell me about this action?
It's past tense.
Past tense and
the doer is we because of the sukun and the na.
Right, the doer is we because of the sukun and the na. So we have a embedded doer here, meaning we've already found our doer, right, which is we.
Okay.
And then we have Musa here.
So that has to be receiver because we've already found our doer.
Exactly, right. We have a labelless word, but it has to be the receiver because we've already found our doer, right? Gotcha. The doer space is taken up by the embedded doer, we. So we promised Musa.
So in this sentence, we have two separate things underlined as receivers. So some actions can take more than one receiver.
Right, you can say...
But no action can take more than one doer.
Right. You can only have one doer in a sentence, but you can have more than one receiver.
Okay.
Right, so you could say, for example, I gave him candy.
Okay.
You gave him... What did he give him? Candy. Right, there are two receivers there.
All right.
So same here. We promised Musa. Who did we promise? And what did we promise him? 40 days. Okay. Clear so far? And hint number 3, pay attention to meaning, use common sense.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So, قال موسى لقومه. Right? قال means...
He said.
Right? Said. Right? And then we have Musa following it, right? What do you think Musa would be doing there? Musa said, right? Yeah. Musa said is just the most logical thing, Don't really have to overthink it there.
Okay.
So, again, just pay attention, meaning use common sense.
Okay.
Ready to do some solving?
Yes.
Okay. جاءهم الهدى. Walk me through this.
All right, so ja'a so this is an action sentence. Ja'a is our action.
Good.
Hum is a pronoun attached to the action, so that's receiver.
Good, always a receiver.
And then hum and al-huda are not related because they're two specific nouns. So there's break there, and then al-huda, well, I guess receiver spot is already taken, so al-huda has to be the doer.
Right, we already found our action and our receiver, so what's left for the labelless word? It would be the doer.
Okay.
Translate?
So doer, action, receiver, guidance.
Yep.
Came to them.
Good. See?
It's not that bad.
Not that bad. Always easier than you think. سمعنا الهدى.
Action sentence.
سمعنا
is a past tense action with embedded doer we because of the sukun and the na. And then al-huda, only space left for it is receiver because we already found our doer. Doer's embedded.
Right, the doer's inside. So how would we translate that? Doer, action, receiver. So
we heard guidance or the guidance.
Good, we heard the guidance. Okay, last one. اتبع الهدى.
Okay. اتبع, past tense action. And doer is, well.
So this case is not as clear cut as the previous, right? There are a few options.
So because اتبع doesn't, we can either, because it's the huwa form, we can say that either the doer is embedded or it might also have an outside.
Right, it might have, so let's just look at both scenarios and see what makes more sense.
Okay.
Right, so this is in the huwa form, like we said. So what if al-huda was the doer?
So اتبع means to follow, right? Yeah. So guidance followed.
Right, that would be guidance followed. Does that make sense?
Not really.
Sounds a bit weird. So let's see our other option. If it was the receiver, what would it be?
He followed the guidance.
Yeah, so if it was our receiver, that means we would have an embedded doer. He followed the guidance. So which of your two options makes more sense?
The second one.
The second one, right? Guidance. So we're going to say that al-huda is
the receiver.
The receiver. So this is where, right, common sense and meaning comes into play.
Gotcha.
So quick recap. What were our 4 types of labelless words?
Pronouns, pointers, words that end in alif, words that have attached pronoun ya.
And then how do we find out what role a labelless word is playing?
So basically, if we found the doer, then, well, if we found one, we found the other.
Yeah, if we found one, we found the other.
So if you see a word in the sentence that has a doer label, then the labelless word will be receiver. And if we found a word in the sentence that has receiver label, then the labelless word will be the doer.
And then also if the doer is
embedded, that means we can't have an outside doer, meaning that it's receiver.
And then our last rule, the golden rule.
Use your common sense.
Just use common sense.